Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed on Nerdy Talk do not reflect those of Anime Herald. Due to strong language, listener discretion is advised. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Good evening, one and all. It's time for Nerdy Talk, the only podcast broadcasting from the home for infinite losers. I'm Mike Ferreira, joined tonight by Matt Brown and Anthony Simpson. And tonight we have a special guest, LB Bryant from Otaku Review. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Good to have you. All right, our first item of the evening. This week we saw a really big anniversary. Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball turned 30 on the 21st of November. It appeared in episode 51 of Weekly Shonen Jump, and since then it's grown to become one of the most influential brands in all of anime and manga. I mean, we've all seen the TV shows, the manga, the games, pretty much anything that can be sold that has room for an endorsement, it's had Goku on it somewhere. So I kind of wanted to bring this up because it is a significant event, and it's something where I feel that we kind of should say a couple things. So, any thoughts, anyone?
Well, I think all I really thought of when I saw this news was, Dragon Ball pretty much put Funimation on the map locally, and I'm not sure we would have ever heard of them before Dragon Ball, and I'm not sure that we would have been saved by them essentially when the other companies that were, that had Japanese owners kind of collapsed one by one all around in the American industry. So I think in a very real sense, we have, even if we haven't seen Dragon Ball or know it intimately, I think we all owe a debt to Dragon Ball in a sense in this industry. So that's pretty much my thought of the whole thing.
Well, I guess I'll go next.
Yep.
So I sort of have a really interesting kind of relationship with DBZ. That it was actually one of the early shows at least being an anime fan that I'd seen. I actually first watched it, well, not to completion. I did see a few episodes back when it aired on TV here back in 1996. So that was actually, I think, like the second or third anime series I'd seen. Because the first one I'd seen was, I mentioned this before, was Sailor Moon. Then it was then the second and third one, maybe not quite in this order, was Techno Man. The English version was called Techno Man, and then DBZ. Because I remember that I used to always remember watching it on Sunday mornings when I got back from church, because I was about 11 at the time. And of course, then we all know that opening from then, Rock the Dragon, which, for our listeners, I'm going to say them. I'm not going to sing it. Now, the original Dragon Ball series, I actually didn't see that until Toonami aired it, because I actually didn't even know about it then. So, when I saw it there, and then I think just a few years ago, I'd actually just watched the whole original series. I read the whole original manga, all the original manga here that covered the original Dragon Ball story, not DBZ. I'm not like a huge DBZ fan. Like, I recognize for what it's worth why it's historically significant, because, well, for me, it was an early anime title, and significant being that it is a, sort of, I don't want to call it the pinnacle shonen title, but being that it's a well-known shonen title, what it, led to with, in the anime industry, I see it as that. But like now that I've been an anime fan for so long, I don't see myself like going back and being like super into Dragon Ball Z now. Like if I wanted to get back into it, I don't see myself doing that. But for any franchise, at least anime franchise, to have that kind of length and still be popular, I mean, that's pretty good.
Absolutely. It really is a testament to the quality of the work itself.
Yeah, I mean, because we got, a few years ago, they had, the newest movie, Battle of the Gods, just came out. And and then they got another movie coming out and I think was it next year or is it 2016 that comes out?
I forget off the top of my head, but yeah, the second movie with Frieza.
Right, and then we have we have DBZ Kai airing. The sort of redoing of the whole original series. DBZ, sort of the condensing of it. We have that, which I actually haven't seen. That's something I am actually interested in watching, just to see how better the flow is of the story.
It is a massive improvement. I will say that it cuts out a lot of the filler, the bulky, multi-episode charging bits.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have no more like 5 episodes of somebody charging up an attack.
Yeah, that was kind of the joke, wasn't it? A fight would take 20 episodes.
Yeah, how many seconds does it take to screw in a light bulb? I'll tell you in 7 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had a couple of friends that were really into that stuff, and it wasn't really my bag, but they introduced me to some stuff that I really liked, so I can't knock it.
How about you, LB?
Dragon Ball is one of those series that I never really got into, just because I have never really been able to get into long-running shonen series. They've just never been my thing. But the fact that the series has turned 30 years old and, lasting 3 decades is an achievement in any medium or genre. It doesn't matter if it's anime, manga, or, Western piece of art. Lasting 3 decades in a time period when people's attention spans can be measured in nanoseconds is pretty amazing. It's absolutely fantastic that they made it this far.
That's a good point. This is 1 year before Back to the Future. It's pretty crazy.
It really is.
Yeah. And I'm gonna interject here. I do sort of see where LB's coming from about getting into long running shonen or long running shows. That can be challenging, which is sort of why I don't watch Naruto, Bleach, or One Piece.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
those long runnings are hard to get into.
They really are, and honestly, I can definitely respect something that has the ability to maintain its consistency and its audience for that long. Just because. Right. I mean, you gotta keep the old fans happy while bringing new people in at the same time. It's the DC Comics effect in a lot of ways.
Yeah, because the only really long-running shows that I actually have finished are going to be, obviously I mentioned before, the original Dragon Ball and Yu Yu Hakusho. That's actually the only really long-running shows I've actually completed.
My record for sticking with a shonen-type show was the 2011 version of Hunter x Hunter, and I lasted 109 episodes with that before I finally tapped out. That's as far as I've ever gone with a shonen series.
Yeah, I think I tapped out after 2 episodes, but then I realized I'm just like, not for me.
Yeah, I
100 episodes is pretty good. I'm not sure that I've lasted 100 episodes with any anime. I think it's a rare feat that I managed to get that far with Stargate SGU, and that's not even related to what we're talking about. So it's pretty rare for me to get that far on any show.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, there are very few that I could. The closest I think I've ever come was I did finish Sailor Moon. That's 200, but anyway. That aside, would probably be City Hunter with 96. But yeah, back to Dragon Ball. Yeah, back to Dragon Ball. I guess I'll say my 2 cents here. I have to give it props for lasting 30 years because I remember watching this when I was 5 years old on Fox Kids. Back when Harmony Gold was still dubbing it. Back then, most of us didn't realize what the hell we were watching, and to see it go on from, say, that quirky show with the funny-looking characters to one of the most influential, trend-setting anime titles of all time is really nothing short of astounding. If you think about it, it's just simply amazing.
Yeah, it is. One thing to interject here it was Ocean Group, not Harmony Gold.
No.
Simon Entertainment helped finance it, distribute it. But the original dub was the Ocean Group dub.
You sure? Because Harmony Gold did do a dub that was ran in some test markets in the mid '80s.
You might have had that. I mean, because I didn't see it. I watched it.
Because I have some
Go ahead. Sorry.
I have some VHS tapes from 1987 or '88 with Dragon Ball cartoons. So.
Well, yeah, that one. I'm talking about Z. I guess we got our. Sorry, I guess we got some wires crossed there because I was thinking of Z because I saw Z in '96 and I said I was 11 years old at the time in 5th grade. So.
Yeah, I'm talking like 1987, 1988. They were doing, or like even '89. My memory is hazy, but they did some test runs of the original Dragon Ball on like the local Fox affiliates here.
Now I'm thinking about that. Yeah,
I can see even for longtime fans, conflating talk of Z with anything else, anything earlier.
Yeah, you're right. Here I'm looking at Harmony Gold USA did the English dub for the original series, so I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. It's one of those things that a lot of people probably didn't pick up on.
Even though Mike isn't actually older than me, he definitely sounds older than me sometimes. It's funny.
Mike is older than me. I mean, I'm only 29, and Mike just turned 30 this year.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
I'm definitely older than Mike. I actually know this to be true. It's like I'm not just throwing that out there. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Dragon Ball, definitely. Like, I'm probably the least aware, given my age, of anybody who's an anime fan of Dragon Ball. But even I know its influence, given all of my friends who've seen it and love it, and just. It's a fixture of our era, in a sense.
Absolutely, and it's just a pillar of anime fandom as a whole nowadays. All right, moving on. A couple days ago, some news came through that really kind of struck me as both interesting and telling. Discotech Media announced that they acquired Magic Knight Rayearth. They're going to be releasing the title in 2015 on DVD and Blu-ray in 2016. This really caught me off guard because if you know Media Blasters, you know they held on to Rayearth like it was solid gold. I mean, this was their jewel in their crown. This was arguably one of their most prized titles because it's a clamshell. It's well-loved. And it's always really had a good market potential that newcomers and veterans like really latch onto. This is something that they've guarded almost jealously over the years because it was probably their biggest title after, well, back in the day it was Kenshin. But anyway, so to see that go is really struck me as surprising because it kind of sheds a light on it that things are definitely kind of not good over there. Of course, we already knew that, but it's just another one of those big spotlights on the issue. So I kind of wanted to bring this one up for discussion. What are your thoughts on the matter, LB?
Media Blasters, as far as I'm aware, I mean, I don't have hard data, I don't have numbers, but from what I've understood over the last couple of years, they are hanging on by, like, the skin of their teeth and the barest of threads. I've had people predict for more than a little while, and people saying, oh, this is going to be year to Media Blasters folds, this is going to be the year Media Blasters folds, but they're still holding on, and they're still fighting. So, I mean, more power to them there. I think I can't say that I'm a fan of Ray Earth. I've never seen it, so it's sad that they've lost the title, of course. But I mean, I'm not heartbroken about it, and it's found a new home, so it's not like fans are gonna miss out. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that's like, okay, is 2015 gonna be their final year?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, it feels like it was just a big blow at the company on that one. How about you, Matt?
You know, it feels like it's been a long time since I saw the show, and I don't actually own a copy of it anymore. But I don't, that may be a little bit of like, the amount of time that I've been an anime fan is relatively short. It started roughly in the year 2000. So, okay, almost 15 years. That's significant, but it's not huge, I feel like I watched Ray Earth in the early part of that, and I'm a little bit surprised that Media Blasters has had the license for that long of a period of time, to be honest. So that's the first impression. And second, I would say that I really loved the show, but I had no interest to watch it again, and I haven't. In fact, I may have sent that to you, Mike, at some point. I don't think I have it anymore. It definitely doesn't have longevity as far as I'm concerned. So maybe it was a case of Media Blasters locking into something for a long period of time because it was Clamp, and I don't blame them for that, but I don't see that as a show that has really made a huge difference in revenues for domestic companies. So it's hard to say what Discotek is going to be able to do with it.
Fair enough. How about you, Anthony?
Well, I'm going to have to sort of, what's the word? I'm going to agree with JB about Media Blasters, because it just seems like every year it could be like, could this be the year, Media Blasters goes away? And they always just somehow just sort of keep scraping by. Not sure how that they do. Now I'd seen Magic Knight Ray Earth about in 2012 is actually when I watched it. I actually don't remember much of it, but then again, I also watched like 100 some titles that year, so everything kind of just blurs together in a way. But it's in good hands with Discotek. I mean, Discotek, I know, is a small company, but they get a lot of classic titles they get, and they're a fan favorite. I mean, I have a few of their releases in my collection, and I'm happy with them. I don't know if Discotek's going to get the dub for it or not. I don't know. Guess we haven't heard anything about that.
I believe the marketing materials say it's got the dub, but I'm not sure.
Okay. But yeah, it did seem kind of like, because I know Media Blasters it doesn't have like the most online presence lately. They've been kind of just existing. If you want, I guess that's the word I want to say.
Yeah, they pretty much. We saw them go from we're going to be leading the push to digital to here's our webpage to here's our Facebook page, which is now our webpage. So yeah, they are kind of retreating backwards there.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry. I meant to say LB, not JB. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I was thinking of Johnny Young Bosch, and I'm just like, and I realized that I'm like, shit. So I'm sorry.
There are worse people for me to be confused with.
Sorry.
It's all good.
I apologize.
So next time, put the Black Ranger poster away, my friend.
Speaking of which, I actually, I've been started watching the Power Rangers again. On a side note.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I know that was completely out of the
the loop, yeah. All right, it's the middle of the anime season, so at this point we pretty much have a good idea of what we like, what we don't like, and we've probably picked out our favorites so far. So I kind of just want to go over with you guys your picks for, say, your biggest surprises, biggest disappointments, and favorite show of the season. So we'll start with the biggest surprise. What would you say is your biggest surprise show of the season, LB?
For me, I went through my list and I thought about it, and I had to go with Lord Marksman and Vanitas. I came really close to dropping this show early on because I was worried that it was going to be nothing but pointless fan service with some occasionally cool action sequences. But after the third episode or so, it finally started to show me that, yeah, it could do good action and it didn't have to resort to, cheap fan service or cheap tricks to keep its audience and keep my attention. And now that I'm like 6 or 7 episodes in, I'm really glad that I stuck with it. This has been one of the season's best kept secrets.
Awesome. How about you, Anthony?
Okay, so I'm going to actually cheat here a bit because I actually don't have a disappointment, but I have 2 surprises. The one I actually mentioned a few times in the last couple shows I mentioned, and that is Rage of Bahamut Genesis. I'm not going to beat a dead horse explaining why that show is such a surprise. But I am going to talk about the other show that is a surprise to me, and it's a surprise for a different reason. And that's going to be Cross Ange. Now, I think all of us would agree that this isn't a well-written show. I mean, it's not well-written. Even I would say that. That doesn't mean I don't get enjoyment out of watching this show. Like, every time I watch it on Sunday morning, it's just, like, there's so much wrong with it, but yet it's just I'm having so much fun watching it. Like, it just seems like no sooner I started, it's done. But, I mean, yeah, it's not good in any measurable way, but I'm having a lot of fun watching it, though. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I would say that Cross Ange does what a lot of shows fail to do, in the sense that it's an action show that actually keeps your interest intellectually about a few things, and that can't be understated.
Right. I mean, the writing's bad, but I mean, I just enjoy it. Because it's just like I said, no sooner I started, it's like, oh, it's over already. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not great, but it's a surprise to me how much fun it is.
I agree there. It's a show that it does a lot wrong. I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement, but it just feels so right when you're watching it.
And also, sorry to interrupt, I will, to quote with LB, I actually am watching, Lord Venus Marksman 2. It wasn't a surprise for me because, again, other shows I'm like I said, Rage of Bahamut Genesis and Cross Ange, but yeah, I will also testament that is a good show too.
Yeah, I'm glad that someone else is watching that show. It's a show that I never really hear anyone talking about, which is disappointing me because like I was saying, it's probably one of the best kept secrets of the season. It's a really, it's solid show. It's got good music, good action sequences. Early on, there was a little too much fan service, which bugged me, but they've toned it down in the last, few episodes, and they're telling a good story now, and I'm already looking forward to seeing where it goes in the final episodes.
Yeah, I'm going to somewhat disagree with the fan service because I thought it was kind of tame in the first few episodes, but one thing that surprised me, though, is really how they're not really censoring the violence in that series, because I know for everybody, our listeners, there are scenes of people getting, cut up with swords, people getting arrows to the head, arrow shot through the head, and it's actually quite bloody, but they don't actually censor any of that, that's kind of surprising considering, violence usually tends to sometimes gets censored on anime quite a bit. Same thing with Cross Ange, how that's quite violent, but yet, most of that, at least from what I've seen so far, has been, they don't really censor the violence too much.
I'll definitely have to check that one out myself. It's one that definitely slipped under my radar. All right, how about you, Matt?
Well, I didn't really I wanted to avoid talking about a continuation, but I want to give an honorable mention to SAO, actually, because as we all know, its original season was kind of like, it had a blockbuster start, and went pretty well for about 14 episodes. And then, debatably, some people think that it didn't do so well in the second half, and I'm one of them. But the current season is like, there was the Gun Gale Online arc, and that went pretty well. And so far after that was, a couple smaller arcs, but they've been a lot of fun to watch, I have to admit. But I actually I didn't mean to talk about SAO too long. I just wanted to mention, to give it a little bit of props, because it's been surprising to me that this 2 seasons, really, it has been very enjoyable. My show this season is, I would say, is Shirobako. I was a little bit hesitant at first. Didn't really understand what it was about. And so I sort of got into it slowly. And I have to say, I've really enjoyed every moment of the series. Even though the latest episode it had a little bit of pacing problems, in the sense that it kind of left a lot of things unresolved. And I would assume that the next episode is going to take care of that. But I don't know. It's like the anime industry has found a way to portray moe characters, but not to sacrifice all of the entertainment value as a result. I feel like Shirobako is kind of the perfect moe show, as perfect as it could be. Yep, that's pretty much it.
I definitely have to agree there. I adored Shirobako. I'm adoring Shirobako. It is just, it's so good. It's so addictive.
Yeah, and I enjoyed parts of the latest episode too. It just didn't really leave off very well. I think it was an unfortunate bit of timing there. Yeah,
there's a lot of loose threads I'm hoping they can kind of tie together, because they've been doing so well with it so far.
Yeah, and it's just, the show has everything. It's got your otaku directors, and they're very serious about the craft, but they also like the things that society overall considers debatable. It's just, they're definitely on the inside, and it's nice to see that kind of perspective, I think. And for a show that's called White Box, I guess you would expect that sort of thing.
Yeah, Shirobako is actually my number 2 for biggest surprise. My number 1 is one that just came out of absolutely nowhere. It's a show that's not being translated professionally. It's a show that it's based on licensed merchandise, and it is probably one of the funniest shows I've seen this season. Of all friggin' things, it's the Monster High anime series that started in early October. Just because it's a short form gag show, they could have really taken the easy way out, but they really do a good job of just making it a charming, well paced, genuinely funny comedy series. I'm not going to make any bones about it. A lot of it's very stupid humor, but what they do, the slapstick is done well. The characters are fun enough, they're done well enough, and it's something I did not expect to see myself really just buying into, but I tend to click over to the Mattel YouTube page every week to check it out when it runs.
Viva Monster Union! Oh wait, wrong show.
Yeah, like I said, it's completely out of left field. I know probably the last thing I expect to say is my something I'd even like admit to watching regularly most of the time, but I'm having fun with it. I think it's cute, it's funny, it works. So, yeah. Anyway, before I sound even worse, not just kidding. Um, what is your biggest disappointment this season, guys? LB?
Um, it breaks my heart to have to say this, but my biggest disappointment going into the middle of the season is I can't understand what my husband is saying. I loved this show early on. I was absolutely all over it. I thought it was fantastic. I was, defending it tooth and nail. I thought it was a really fun, enjoyable, lighthearted otaku romantic comedy. Around the halfway mark, though, it stopped being an otaku rom-com and just became an ordinary rom-com about an average couple with a husband who has some otaku tendencies, rather than early on when it was an otaku with heavy tendencies, married to an average woman, married to an average office worker. Now that husband character has kind of toned it back a little bit. And it just really disappoints me that they didn't stay true to the premise and the roots of the series, even though it's a short form series that's only going to last for, 12 episodes or so. I just found that really disappointing, and I'm still watching it every week, and I'm still, mostly enjoying it, but it's not nearly as good as it was in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, it got super serious, didn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say there's no comedy left, but it's like, they're tackling, real world issues and like relations with the in-laws and childbirth and very pretty heavy stuff.
It's something that it really stood out to me too. Like, I started kind of saying like, "Oh, what's going on here?" That one where the husband ended up trying to get like an actual job or something like that. It's like, oh, where are they going with this?
Yeah, that was pretty much the point where it stopped, being more of an otaku romantic comedy and more into just like an average regular romantic comedy. I think that's kind of the point where it made the jump, and it just hasn't gone back, and it just hasn't been as good ever since.
Yeah, I agree. Like, even the latest episode, the one where they're babysitting the sister's kids, like, it's like, all right, so when's the husband going to be, funny?
Yeah.
I mean, they did a little bit of like initial D sort of thing in the latest episode, and I thought that was pretty funny, but it's such a small part of what they're doing overall that it's almost like his otaku-ness is an afterthought, and I think to be funny, going forward, they need to keep his otaku-ness in the forefront.
Or if they're not going to have him, bring the Broster back. I mean, he was.
Yeah, there's some funny characters in the show. Definitely, it's just I think they. I think it's right that they want to tackle like actual real life things, but they need to find a way to make it funny again, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand they only have like 3 minutes to do this, but it's one of those things where it's like they have to find that balance again. They were really nailing it that first half. All right, anyway. As you can tell, that's my choice for disappointment, by the way. So anyway, and Anthony, you said you have no disappointments, so we'll jump.
Yeah, because everything I wasn't liking, I dropped before, but nothing I'm watching now, I would say, is disappointing me.
All right, sounds good. So we'll jump right over to you, Matt.
Well, my choice, I think, is Trinity 7.
I really cannot blame you there.
I don't know. I I didn't expect it to so closely follow the Blue Exorcist formula, as it were. And I feel like that's what it's done. And it's just, like your standard lead male character solves all problems sort of thing. And, I'm actually a fan of harem shows. I have been pretty much ever since I watched Love Hina, which kind of, that was kind of like my virgin harem experience, as it were. But I feel like without the lead female character being a threatening presence, the harem shows just don't work out that well. And that's kind of where Trinity 7 has left off. It's just, the lead male solves all problems, and everybody has been led to believe that he will, and that's just the it of it. And funny enough, all of the problems are caused by the female characters in the show, and that introduces another dimension of, what the fuck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My thing with Trinity 7, and I don't hate the show. It's easy to get that impression if you follow me on Twitter and, just listen to me bitch about it every once in a while. And I don't want to give the impression that I hate the show, but there are so many times when it just frustrates me because it feels like it takes the easy way out sometimes, especially with the jokes and the comedy. It feels like it's going for the easy route as often as possible. Like in episode 2, I want to say, when they had the female characters all locked in the room with the main lead, and suddenly, oh no, they all have to use the bathroom really bad, and it's just like, really? That's where you're gonna go with that?
The humor is very cheap.
Yeah,
I would agree.
And it's really frustrating to me. I feel like the series had so much potential in the beginning, and it just never quite lived up to it. Every so often, there's a little spark, which makes me think, okay, maybe they're gonna finally live up to it. Maybe it's gonna, go somewhere. Like in just an episode or two ago, when the headmaster was up against, oh god, I can't remember her name, like Elsie or something, the evil twin.
Lisa, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But it's the headmaster against evil twin, and headmaster has not been, the most stand-up character so far, but the last episode I saw, in the final moments of that episode, he was holding his own, and he was, finally being a serious character, and I was getting into it. It's like, okay, this is kind of cool. So I'm really hoping that in the second half, the series, finds some footing and, lives up to the potential that it had early on. I don't know if it actually will, but I'm going to be sticking with it, and I'm going to be, hopeful and optimistic about it. I don't know if it's going to pay off, but I'm going to at least, hope.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way, that I think they're pretty much setting it up to where all of the crap that we've witnessed with these characters is finally going to be set aside, and they'll have a real enemy to fight, and everything will be glorious, right? But it's a little bit disappointing the way that they've gone about it. I won't lie. Actually, before I stopped talking, I wanted to give a little nod, and this may be against the rules, to when magical battles became commonplace. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to say that show was my biggest surprise, because it wasn't, but I will say that the latest episode of the show has given me strong faith in its outcome. And it harkens back to kind of my favorite female character in Love Hina and how all that played out. And I know, it's not necessarily going to go the way I would want it to, but my favorite character has had her say, and I'm very happy about that show.
Fair enough. And as I mentioned earlier, my biggest disappointment is I can't understand what my husband is saying, just because, it really just dropped the ball at that halfway point, which is a crying shame. Runner-up would probably be, I know this is kind of cheating, but Sailor Moon Crystal, just because I'm still kind of playing catch-up with this one, but if you've seen episode 9, this was pretty much 90% keyframes and mouth flaps was the episode. There was less animation in it than it was in some visual novels. So it just kills me that it's taken such a backslide in quality. But I digress. So now the big one. What are your favorite shows so far, guys? LB, let's start with you.
My favorite show this season should be basically no surprise to anyone who knows me or has heard me talking. Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. It's been an amazing ride so far. UFO Table has done fantastic work production wise. I know the story. I've watched pretty much every Fate anime that has come out, all the serious ones at least. I've watched the original Fate Stay Night. I watched the Unlimited Blade Works movie. So I have a pretty good idea of where this TV series is going to go already, but even still, I'm just absolutely loving this show. It's appointment viewing for me every Saturday.
It is splendiferous. It really is.
I have to agree. This is my first experience with Fate. I didn't watch the original Fate Stay Night. So this is completely new for me, and it's been very entertaining.
How about you, Anthony?
I mentioned before in all the other shows about how much I praised it. So it's going to be Rage Above Homogenesis, and I'm not going to state why.
All right, awesome. Matt?
Well, I would say Fate 2. I would like to give an honorable mention to Mushishi, just because honestly, okay, so here's the thing. When I watch Fate, it makes me want the next episode immediately, right? It's pretty addictive. I purposely watch Mushishi after Fate because that show makes me completely relaxed no matter what I've been doing before that. And I think that can't be understated enough. Because, let's face it, a show like Fate Stay Night is infuriating to watch week after week. And having something to completely calm me down is amazing. And it's Mushishi. I've loved every single thing that franchise has produced, and it's still that good. That's all I can say.
Right on. My favorite's been kind of in flux. When I sat to record with LB at the time, it was Cross Angie, but lately Fate has definitely overtaken it. Just because it's just been so consistently good, so on point with the visuals, the storytelling, the characters. It's a show where I'm just fiending for it every week. I'm ready to go up to UFO Table, extend out my arm and say, please, find a way to put this into my veins, and you will have me forever.
Well, Mike, I thought your favorite show this season was Denki Guy.
Man, fuck Denki Guy.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with. I don't know if it was similar with the original Fate Stay Night. It sounds like people are pretty much in agreement that UFO Table does a better job.
Yeah, there's.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I am apparently in the minority. But I really enjoyed the original Fate Stay Night that Studio Dean produced back in 2006, I think it was. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great story. Admittedly, the production values of it are nowhere near as good as what UFO Table is doing now. But I still really enjoyed it, and it's something that I will gladly show to other people and say, you know what, this is a good action series, it's worth checking out. But yeah, comparing the two is just is ridiculous and a ludicrous thing to do. You can't compare the two, especially in terms of production value.
I can appreciate what you said, though. Studio Dean produced the complete original Rurouni Kenshin series, and I enjoyed quite a bit of that. So they definitely have their they've definitely made their mark on the anime scene.
Oh, absolutely. I'm certainly not denigrating the work of Studio Dean. I think that they're a perfectly fine studio, and they've put out some great work in the past. But like I said, just comparing these two particular series.
Yeah. And you would expect that, I guess. It's kind of like the Toei stuff or the Toei productions of the key visual arts stuff versus the KyoAni productions of the same. It's kind of like, who's more focused on modern techniques. And, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with the old techniques. But, people tend to be more appreciative of the evolution of the craft, as it were. Mm-hmm. I fully expect that I will enjoy the series. And I'm actually watching Fate Zero as well, and I'm enjoying that too. I think when I'm done watching both, I will probably feel about the same way as I do with every other Type Moon story. In the sense that I really enjoyed the experience of it, but didn't necessarily understand any of the details in any intimate way. That's kind of my relationship with them.
All right, before we move on, I'd like to also give one last honorable mention to a show that is just a lot of fun, Gugure Kokuri-san.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a show that's just legitimately funny. I always look forward to it, so I just kind of want to get the name out there again. This is a show where you have a little girl that can outwit a fox god. It can mix the generally lighthearted with like the absurdist, stupid humor, like this 6-year-old little girl outwitting this millennial old fox god, to the surprisingly dark. Like, I mean, I don't know how many times Kokuri-san's threatened to hang himself, or how many times someone's been hauled off by policemen, but it just works.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, and I'm glad that you brought it up. That's a show that I really enjoy watching every single week. I do my best to not let myself get behind on it, just because it makes me feel bad when I get behind on it. It's just like, oh no, I have to get caught up as fast as possible, no matter how busy I am, just because it is really such a funny show. And I love how it can go from light to dark humor at a drop of a hat without missing a single beat.
It seems to have that perfect touch to really know how to tread that line too. Like, you have some points where it shows like Inugami generally doing something stupid. The next scene, it shows him being like this absolutely horrific person in general. It's like they really managed to nail that whole two-face aspect to some of the characters and stuff like that. The writing is good. The characters are great. So I just can't say enough nice things about it.
So a dog god occasionally reveals that he is a dog.
More like a sociopath is the thing I was looking for. Like,
I.e. a dog.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was making a little joke, but no, I get it.
And our last topic tonight, it's only mid-season at this point, but we're already starting to see the lineups for next season coming through. So, with that in mind, I just want to ask, what two shows you guys were looking forward to the most so far? And we will start with you, Anthony.
Okay. First, let me just say as a whole for winter 2015, it doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot I'm interested in. Mostly just almost a majority of the stuff I'm going to check out is actually just sequels. But I am going to talk about the two that I'm interested in. The first one is going to be the I'll Know Zero Part 2. I love the first half, I'll Know Zero. I'm really curious to where they go with the second one. The second half of the series, I'm just really curious to where it goes. And the second show that I'm really looking forward to is going to be the second season of Tokyo Ghoul. I know a lot of people didn't. Well, let me rephrase that. I know manga fans weren't happy with the first season of Tokyo Ghoul because they claimed it butchered it. I thought the first season was really good. They had towards the end, they had to put in like warp 10 to get to an ending. But I mean, other than that, the first season I thought was really good, and I'm really looking forward to what they do in the second half here. So that is the two shows I'm most interested in for the next season.
All right, awesome. How about you, LB?
For me, there are a lot of sequels I could have chosen, but I specifically wanted to choose two brand new series rather than go with obvious choices that I from sequels that I've already enjoyed, like Kami-sama Kiss 2 or Dog Days 3 or Kuroko's Basketball 3. So for me, I chose my number one series to be Assassination Classroom. I think this series looks absolutely freaking hilarious. Every trailer I've seen for it has made me giggle, so I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what happens with it. And then the second series that I'm looking forward to is a series that I don't know that much about, but it's been generating a lot of buzz, specifically because it's coming from the same studio that did Attack on Titan. So it's The Rolling Girls.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in Rolling Girls too. Sorry, Mike.
No worries. I'm also interested in that one. Just because it's such a departure from what they did last that it's quite interesting to see how they'll handle it.
I'm interested in Rolling Girls 1 because I'm not sure if there's going to be a Rolling Girls 2. Just saying. You guys are optimistic. There's nothing wrong with that, but...
Well, hey, we just got a confirmation of Attack on Titan, too.
Yeah, which came as a surprise to absolutely no one.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
I just didn't think it would be this soon.
2016 is soon?
Oh, no, I didn't think we'd hear about the second... No, what I'm saying was we won't hear about the second season until after the second movie came out.
That's what I was thinking, too. I wasn't expecting them to announce it after the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, 2016. Probably fall. Okay. So it's the latest possible. 2016.
Hey, maybe they'll have enough people this time to animate it.
Well, that means they'll have another year to produce a few OVAs, side stories, finish up No Regrets, all of the loose end stuff.
Yeah, like I said, this wasn't surprising. Because like I said, this came as a shock to absolutely nobody. But I just didn't think it said we'd hear about it so quickly.
Sure. I'd like to mention the Rolling Girls is... interesting to me in the sense that there are girls and there are motorcycles, but I don't actually know anything about what they're going to do with the show.
I read a little bit, like a couple of little plot synopses, and sounds, decent enough. It's decent, and it sounds decent enough that I'm curious about it and I want to check it out. Like I said, I don't really know much about it, but it's coming from which studio? It's a departure, like Mike said, it's a departure from what they last did. So, it should be at least worth a look.
Yeah. Well, it's an original show from them too, and
yes.
I'm definitely, I definitely have a soft spot for any studio that's willing to put forth its own original title, and that's definitely worth my while, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't like it, I think I think it's something that every studio should do, and the more we see these things, I think the better they'll get. So
Absolutely. And how about you, Matt? What 2 titles are you looking forward to?
Well, I'll know it was mentioned, so I don't have to mention that. But I'm obviously interested. So the second series of I don't even know. I absolutely love the first show. I'm not gonna lie. Even though it's Aniplex and I sort of dislike everything they do just domestically, they make good shows, and A1 has had a pretty good record, and I assume this is going to be them. So, more power to them for this show.
Definitely. LB mentioned the first one with Assassination Classroom. It just looks absolutely hilarious, so I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Otherwise, there were a lot jockeying. I do have interest in like Rolling Girls, and the show like say Anime de Wakaru Shinryo Naika, which is by Shine, who did Crayon Shinchan, but I'd probably say my big pick would be Sanai Heroine no Soda Tekata, which is basically, it's a Noidamana show about an otaku who meets with like these 3 girls to produce a game for Comic Get. It just kind of strikes me as, the descriptions, the stuff I've seen, it kind of strikes me as kind of like a comic party in some ways, so that immediately has my interest. Not as over the top goofy, mind you, but
yeah, I'm kind of getting that just from the title alone and the description. I'm getting that comic party vibe.
Yeah, so, and I absolutely adored Comic Party, so anything that has a similarity gets my seal of like that interest already, I'm
a little surprised nobody mentioned Junketsu no Maruya. Junketsu no Maruya.
Which one's that?
It's production IG, and it's about a witch that does witchy things. I don't know.
I can tell you what I'm not interested in. Kantai collection. I can tell you that.
Well, I think.
What do you have against Kantai, whatever that is?
It just doesn't catch my interest.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the thing about Junketsu no Mari is I just don't know enough about it. I haven't seen enough about it. So
I noticed it because it's IG, and I kind of have a love affair with their stuff. But yeah, you never know. They made Blue Spring Ride too, and that wasn't really my thing. But you like that, LB?
Yeah,
so,
I did.
It's not, it wasn't, my disapproval of the show was not a problem as far as that goes.
All right, and to mix things up a little, which show do you think is going to crash and burn the fastest?
Oh man, there's so many choices.
How
about Milky Holmes TD, whatever that is?
Oh man, are you kidding me? That show is going to sell bonkers.
Oh yeah.
It's a Milky Holmes series. That series is going to be huge.
Oh god.
One, I can tell you that Cook Crash and Burn is one I just mentioned, is Kantai Collection. It's really all going to depend on how they adapt that, because that's a hot property, but I guess depending on how they adapt it, that could possibly crash and burn hard.
Yeah, it could.
Oh, here's one that may not have enough fans left. Minna Atsumare, Falcom Gakuen's SC.
Never even heard of that series.
Well, the word Falcom is in there.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't mean anything to you, then it's doomed.
Yeah. Falcom did, historically did, like, East, Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, Gurman. They are, even back in their heyday, they were incredibly niche. I think their biggest game in North America, mind you, North America, not counting the new stuff because they're starting to get this kind of cult popularity, was Faxanadu, which was back on the NES. Other than that, they kind of disappeared for over 20 years here, and then now we're starting to see this resurgence with the Trails series.
Yeah, I never played any of them games, so
I feel like Falcom is kept alive by the 10 people every year that buy their music.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's their big thing. The music is just lovely.
It's awesome. I'm not gonna lie. There's a Fafner show. That's interesting.
That I'm looking forward to.
Well, I wonder how many people are.
Well, I think a Crash Burn Hard is Benai Coco Chiki.
Handsome high school defense club love.
Yeah.
I was just looking at that one, and it could be good in a cheesy kind of way, but I'm thinking it's just going to be horrid. But we'll see. It's going to be a series that I know I'm probably going to end up watching with my girlfriend for at least a little while, because she really likes the shonen series.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that one comes out.
As you say, Anthony, that one is not going to fail because Fujoshi.
Well, we have the third season of Kuroko Basketball. That's going to sell like hotcakes.
Yeah. The other series that I think could fail, it's going to have its defenders, and people who are going to, and it's going to have people who defend it to the bitter end. But I know a lot of people are already on the bubble about it. Yurikuma Arashi. That one, I know a lot of people are already on the bubble about it. And so it's going to be really interesting to see when that series first premieres, how people react to it.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that I was actually going to pick because, I mean, granted, it's got the pedigree of Kunihiko Ikuhara, who did Utena and Sailor Moon and Penguin Drum. So, but it's definitely one that's like, it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm interested in that one, but yeah, that one I could see probably one of those shows like where everybody hates it, but or a lot of people don't like it, but could have a few defenders.
Other than that, I mean, there's just, for me, the obvious one's going to be Sengoku Muso, because it's
another historical period series that we've seen many times before.
Yeah, that I won't be watching.
I don't know.
Plus, it's a video game adaptation.
The Muso games have such a huge following, though.
True.
But I guess it's going to be depending on how they adapt it. I mean, that's the same thing sort of with that Kantai collection. I mean, that's a popular game, but again, it's all going to depend on how they do the adaptation, if it's popular or not. I can see that one being the knife edge of it being a success or failure is like really close. Like that line's just, it's not going to take, I think, much to get it to go either way.
I mean, that's one where it's like everything I've seen about it just screams kind of cheap. So that's what. But I mean, hold your comments about the games because I know they have the low production.
I never played any of those games, so.
Because I know that their production budgets are definitely not the best, and it's a perfect opportunity for a joke. But it's just everything I've seen just screams like cheap, you know. Like the character designs are very simple, very, very bland. It just the visuals themselves aren't impressive. the most damning thing though is it's a game adaptation based on a video game where you control upwards of 60 possible characters. So they're going to have to take that step of trying to cram in everyone's favorite or risk alienating a chunk of fans. So I have a feeling it's going to suffer for that. All right, and that's our show, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and special thanks to LB for sitting with us this week.
Thanks for having me.
All right, it was a pleasure. Why don't you tell people how they can reach you?
You can find me posting pretty much daily at otakureview.net. I post manga reviews to icv2.com. If you're listening from Europe, you can catch me on the viewster.com blog. And if you don't want to read any of that and just want to listen to me ramble, you can talk to me on Twitter at otakureview.
All right, fantastic. And remember to rate and subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher. It really helps us out. And as always, have a great night. This is Mike Ferreira signing off.
And this is Anthony, who's currently rocking the dragon.
This is Matt Brown, not understanding or caring what Anthony does.